Hey guys, this is Derica with Derica's Designs, and today we're going to make this cute little cow attachment. This is a no-sew project, so grab your glue guns and let's get started. Guys, we are back, and this cute little cow is what we're going to be making today. She is a no-sew attachment, but super cute. I've also added a bit of a neck down here. I didn't put it on her, but the one we're going to make will include the little neck piece down here. It is 100% optional. If you just want the face, then just do the face. But I wanted to include it in the pattern just in case you wanted it. So we'll set her over to the side. We have just the 3 pieces of foam board. We have the little nose, the head, and then this would be the little neck piece that would go under there if you choose to. You can decide that for yourself if that's what you want. I'm going to go ahead and pop a pipe cleaner through here. Now, I have had a lot of luck using the cable tie mounts on the back of these for attaching. Let me just, I use the Gorilla Glue gel, and I just glue them right to the back of this paperboard. And it's actually held up pretty nicely. So if you don't like the pipe cleaners getting in your way the whole time, you can just wait, and at the end, if you have any of the cable mounts, little cable tie mounts that we use to attach signs to Wreath, you can glue them to the back of this and they work just as well. Okay, so first thing, we're going to get out our pieces and we will start gluing everything. Now we have a whole bucket of little things that I have here and that I will walk you through as we add them. But for right now, let's just get our main pieces glued. This is the main white. Now this white, you can see there's a giant crease in the middle, but I did not bother to iron that out or steam it out because this is going to go right over it. Nobody's going to even know it was there. So I like to, when I have projects that are big like this, that sometimes the little edge here can also be discolored from being folded on the shelf and getting rubbed up against, especially in the stores. So usually I would cut this and throw, you know, the messed part away. But I think for this project, we're going to make it work. So on this cow, I did not put any kind of stuffing or quilt batting on the headpiece. I wanted it flat so that the muzzle here, the nose, could glue flat. Now the nose is stuffed with polyfill. It's big and poofy, but the back part is not. So we're going to glue this directly onto the felt. And I'm just going to use a little glue. I'm going to go over the pipe cleaner since I put it on there. And we're just going to set it right on there, just like that. Now you guys know in the past, when you have a pattern like this, and you're putting felt or any fabric on it, if you just cut the fabric an inch bigger, it doesn't even have to be an inch, it could be a ½ inch, but I wouldn't go smaller than that. As long as you have enough to fold over the backside, you don't need to be precise about how you cut the fabric. This fabric is definitely going to be a little bit too big, so I'm just going to trim it up. Just so I have enough to fold over the backside. Sometimes when I make a pattern, I will draw out each individual piece. And sometimes, like on this one, I just tell you to cut out the foam board the size of the pattern and then cut out a piece of fabric approximately an inch larger. It really, because it's being folded over the backside, it truly does not make a difference, the exact size of it. And if it's a little bit too big, then you can always trim it down, just like I just did. So you just want to make sure you don't cut it too small, because then you won't have enough to pull over and get a good, make it hold on the backside really well. So I just keep putting glue all the way around. Since we're not stuffing this with anything, I'm just going to glue it all the way around. So I'm going to grab it and pull it. Now hopefully you have a detail tip glue gun like this one that is not putting out a big, huge, thick, heavy bead of glue. The detail tip gun gives you a very small line of glue, which is really all you need to have felt stick to paper, so you don't need something super big and heavy. Okay, so there's the face piece. And like I said, you can kind of see the line in here. It's not normal. If this was going to be shown, I would definitely not use this piece, but for so I could show you guys, since I know this is going to be covered by this, that's upside down. You know, I went ahead and used it because this part of the felt and this part of the felt is perfectly fine. So don't throw all your scraps away. Sometimes you can use them. Okay, so since we are going to stuff this one, I am not going to glue the felt to the foam board. We're going to start, what I'm going to do is leave a space down here big enough for my hand to fit into to stuff polyfill into this. But we've got to seal all these edges first. So we're going to go all the way around and just leave a spot big enough for your hand, and maybe a dowel perhaps. If you would prefer to use a dowel to push it in, that's fine too. But see, we have about a 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch of fold over on the back side. So you can see I don't skimp on the fabric. I don't try to use the littlest amount of fabric possible, because that just sets you up to burn your fingers. And of course, there was no glue seeping out of this because I am using a detail tip gun, which just gives you a very small line of glue and not a big bead. Okay. So actually, I'm gonna let that cool just a little bit. You don't want to stuff it until it has a chance to cool. Okay. Because you'll just be fighting against yourself and creating little holes in places you don't want them. So this is the neck piece. As I said, this one is optional. Now this piece of felt, also again, just a scrap piece. It's not quite big enough, but I know this piece is going to sit on this like that. So I don't need to have any overhang up here. It's going to be covered by this. Where I want to make sure I have the overhang is down here. So if you have a piece that you do cut too small, see if there's any part of the piece that is going to be covered. And that way you don't have to go and cut another piece of felt. And this is square, obviously. So I'm just going to give it a little trim, or it's actually a rectangle, excuse me. Just so that I don't have so much to fold over. Now, I won't have anything to fold over right here, and that's okay. Nobody's going to notice that. It's on the back side. But because this is a neck piece and it's also going to go under the head piece, I did not stuff this piece with anything. No quilt batting, no polyfill. Just a nice flat area is what I was going for. And just keep putting a line of glue and then pull it around. The reason I chose to do a cow for this Valentine's Day is because so many of the Valentine ribbons and picks and signs and all the things that you guys use as wreath makers tend to come with a black and white and either pink or red. But it seems like nowadays for Valentine's Day, the black and white is very popular. It's almost become part of the Valentine's Day. You have to have black and white. So I just figured a cow with some pink on her and a little bit of red would be the perfect cute little character to put into your wreaths. Okay, so I have these little corners. You can kind of see where I pinched them together, and then I just snip them off. And then when you flip it over, you have nice, neat little corners there. So we'll set that aside. And now this is cooled. So we will go ahead and get this stuffed. I'll probably end up using a dowel just because I want to make sure that this is even all the way. I don't want there to be any little gaps or areas that look lumpy, bumpy. I want it to be a nice even all the way. And I do that with the dowel. I take the dowel and I just kind of spread out the polyfill. Make sure I'm getting it into all of the little corners. And I take the dowel and I just kind of go over the top of the polyfill in there just to even it all out. You don't want the muzzle, the nose, whatever. This is considered to have lumps and bumps that are very visible, because when you go to take a picture of something that has lumps and bumps in it, the shadows become, it makes it very obvious. Maybe in person it doesn't look so bad, but I have found that the pictures always show it before anything. So I use my hand and I just kind of use the dowel, make sure we're getting every little, all the way around. It's nice and smooth. Don't be afraid to overstuff this, because it is the little nose on the cow. You really can't stuff it too much. If you can't close it, then you might need to take out just a tiny bit. Like if you have no fabric here to fold over, then you might need to take out just a bit of polyfill, but I just push it down and pull it and force it to fold over. Now you're going to have to hold this for a minute or so, at least 30 seconds, to make sure it stays. I like to flip it over and then hold it. That there's no chance of me burning my fingers. And then just put a little bit all the way around. I have two little problem areas. Some polyfill crept out right here, so you can see it. If you have polyfill sneaking out, you want to tuck that in. And the hot glue is not going to stick to polyfill. It's just not well anyway. So just make sure. If you have polyfill that's poking out of your, just try to get something to push it back in. So there's our little muzzle. Super cute. Okay, we'll start assembling some of these base pieces, and I'm going to use my little clamps to hold it together for me. Oh, first of all, before we do that, we do have this little bitty mouth right here. Now, you can put this on afterwards. If you were to glue this down and then go back and put this on, it's still, it's upside down. Never mind. I'm used to the egg shape. It's still, you can still put it on afterwards, but I like to put it on beforehand because it is kind of tucked up under there. So, but no worries. If you get, and you realize you didn't put the mouth on, just put it on afterwards. Just use the edge of your scissors to kind of tuck it up under the nose part. You'll be fine. There's really no way to mess these little no-sew attachments up. They're pretty fail-proof. There isn't anything you can't fix. You can always take stuff apart and fix it. Now, when I'm working with something like this, now this little pipe cleaner back here is going to drive me crazy. It's going to cause it to wobble. I like to use the grids on my table in order to make sure this is straight. So I'm going to bring this down in front of me so I can see it here. Sometimes you'll go to glue it on, and if it's crooked like that, you know, it may not be how you wanted it. So what I line up the bottom and the top, and I find one focal line, which would be this one, and I take this and I just set it. And now what I'm going to do is make sure it's lining up down here. So this is my center. Everything is straight, and now down here. So what I like to do, once I get it right where I want it, make sure it's sticking off a little bit evenly on both sides. Everything looks okay. I'm going to flip it over. Oops. And I am just going to very lightly make a pencil mark on the paper. And then I'm going to take it around. And I can see those pencil marks. And that is where I want my glue to be. I don't want to go outside of that because you don't want a bunch of messy glue on the outside of your project. But those lines will help me keep all of this glue on the inside here. Just like that. So now when I set it down again, should be pretty close to right in the center. Now listen, nothing has to be perfect, nothing has to be exact. You know, if you've made a few attachments with me in the past, you know, very rarely do I measure anything. I just kind of eyeball it, throw it on there. My patterns are all hand drawn. I don't, you know, copy or trace anything. I just draw it. So, you know, don't worry about it being perfect is what I'm getting at. Okay, so now let's go ahead and, while this is getting on there, and I feel it's bubbling up a little bit, let that cool completely before you mess with it. We have a couple of nostrils that we cut out, little jelly bean looking things. We have little cutout felt for the ears. We have glitter foam sheet for the horns. You don't have to use this. I just liked it. It was different. And the rest we'll get to in a minute, but we can at least start making the ears. I'm just going to glue. Make sure, first of all, make sure you have a left and a right, like that. And then glue the little pink inside piece. And very lightly glue this together. You don't need a ton of glue to glue felt together. You don't want it seeping out. Don't get real close to the edges. Just very, very, very thin, light line of glue there. Okay. So I think this is pretty good. I'm going to take these off. I'm going to use one of these. I like the cow ear to have a bit of a fold over. This one didn't have a big one, but I don't want them to be flat. I like them just to have a little bit of a curl to them. So what I do, I just place light glue all along the edge there, and then I just fold it over and then I clamp it. That way, when I go to glue it onto the head, it's going to automatically have this little fold over like that. Throw it in the clamp. Oops. There we go. And then I just let those sit over and cool. Okay. And now we can go ahead and glue our nostrils on. Now you can put them wherever you want them. I just make them so that they're facing it. They look like little jelly beans, so I face them curling in. I think I like to have them kind of further out like that, but you can definitely have them further in. Really doesn't matter. But I just put one on, and then I try to get as close as I can to the same place with the other one. Up there. There we go. Just like that. So let that sit for a minute. One of the tricks I will show you, this is the pink for the eyeglasses. And these are super cute. I mean, you can use these on so many different projects. It's just a basic eyeglass shape that I drew out, excuse me. I take a piece of poster board, any kind of poster board. I wouldn't use cardboard, it's a little too thick, but any poster board type of paper that you might have a scrap piece of, and I glue it to the back of the foam, the glittered foam sheet. And then that is what I draw the pattern on. And I just do that for stability. The foam sheet is not quite firm enough to stay on this by itself. It's going to really flop a little bit. It may have worked, but I like to have the stability of a piece of foam poster board, excuse me. I glue it directly to the foam sheet, just like that. And then I just get my X-Acto knife, whatever I did. Here's one. And I cut from this side into all the, it's very easy to cut, but this way the two pieces will line up perfectly. If you were to cut them separately and line them up, you would have a lot of places that need to be trimmed. But if you glue them together and then cut them out together like this, way less chance of having any kind of, I mean, there isn't any white showing through here whatsoever from the poster board. And that's kind of what I was going for. Just keep going. Just keep a nice firm pressure on it, slowly all the way around. Make sure you keep your fingers out of the way. If you find you're only cutting through the paper and not the foam board underneath, it's okay. Just finish cutting through it, and then you can always go back and make those extra little cuts if you need to. I'm going to get these out of the way. Just don't be in a hurry. Just kind of put as much pressure as you are comfortable with down on it, and then you just keep going around like this. And you can see it's coming together pretty quickly, pretty easily. There we go. And just pop them out, and there we go. And you can tell that foam board really made it, or the poster board, excuse me, really made it just a little bit heavier. Like I said, you don't want to use cardboard or foam board that's just too thick. You would be able to see it when looking at the cow, like from the side. With this, you don't see anything, but it's still firm enough that it will stay on the cow's face with no problem. And we're only going to glue it to the bottom, and it'll stay up there. So, all right. So on your pattern, you might notice at the very top of the head up here, I had 4 little tiny notches, little tiny marks. Those are where I want to put the horns. Okay. So if you go back to your pattern piece with those little notches, you can flip this over and you can mark those notches on the back of the head, so that you know exactly where to put your horns. Now, I don't have those with me here, but I'm pretty good at just eyeballing where I want the little horns, okay? So these are small enough that you don't need to put the poster board on these, on this pieces. They're gonna stick straight up. They're not gonna be a problem because they're small enough. I usually only do the poster board thing when it's a large piece that has, I'm only gluing to one area. It could flop over. So now you could just eyeball these and put these on just like this. I got some glue on my finger. Or you can use the little notches, like I said, on the back and, you know, try to get them. But like I said, I don't worry about them being perfect. I never have. It's not something that I stress over when I'm making attachments. A little bit of imperfection just shows that it's homemade. And then I just put the ear basically right below the horn. I mean, almost touching the horn right there. See, in fact, it's actually on top of the yellow just a little. And I throw a clamp on it because I want to make sure that stays right there. And this ear, I like the fold to be on the top. Think about a cow's ear and how it kind of looks. That fold to sort of be up on the top there. Grab another clamp and clamp that down just like that. Now, don't mess with it too much. Once it's cooled off, then you can twist the ears open and make it look like you want it to look. But for now, let it go ahead and dry. Okay, so on the pattern, I had 4 different pieces of just black spots. I mean, it truly, truly does not matter which spots you put where. Just do whatever you like. I had made 2 of the black spots for up here, and then I made 2 black spots for the neck. And honestly, it truly does not matter. Even on this one, like you can see where this is the black spot for the cow, and the eye was on top of that black just a little bit. Doesn't matter. So don't worry about that part. It's not a big deal. So we're going to go ahead and put some neck pieces on here. Let's just, what I do is I place it on here, and as long as I have enough to pull over, then I'm good. You can cut out your black spots any way you want. You do not have to follow these exact spots. If you want a spot right in the middle, then cut out a spot right in the middle. just whatever you want to do. But see how I have that kind of hanging over just a little here? So I'm going to put some glue on it. I'm going to put it directly on the black because I just want to fold this over all the way around. And then what I'll do on the front, I just flip it up, kind of do it like that. It does not take a lot of hot glue to stick, so don't think you have to glob it on there. But I do need a little more down here at this end so I can fold it over. There we go. So see, don't, like I said, spots are your personal thing. However you want your spots to look, that's fine. And I'm going to put this one here. I'll do this one a little bit differently. I'm going to place a light amount of glue just on this side right here. I'm not over where my fingers are. I'm not gluing it because that's the overhang part. And I'm just going to put it on there, giving myself enough overhang on each end to fold over. But you can do it either way. You can either fold it over the back side and then glue the front, or glue the front and then go back and fold over this back side. I just wanted to show you both ways. Whatever you feel, whatever you're more comfortable with. And then fold it over. And then I always just, out of habit, I just flip things over and put, you know, I don't want to, if you push this side and a dab of glue comes out, it's going to burn the palm of your hand. So I like to just do this. Now, one thing I forgot about on her, and it's not in the pattern, but I thought about it afterwards as I was making her. She would be super cute with one of those cowbells hanging down right here, one of the little cowbells, like maybe on a ribbon and then a little cowbell. So think about that too. I'm sorry it's not in the pattern. It was an afterthought, but when I was creating it, being for Valentine's Day, I just didn't, I wasn't thinking that far ahead. And like I said, this neck part is optional. You don't have to do this. But at Hobby Lobby, I know in the aisle where the pipe cleaners are, you know, you can buy the big bags of the pipe cleaners. I'm sure some of you use those. If you turn around or somewhere on that aisle, there are little bags of bells. They have jingle type bells, and they have little silver and gold cowbells, but they're little. They're only about 1 inch wide and 1 inch tall. Just putting that out there because we used them. If you remember last spring, or it was this year spring, we made the lamb, and the lamb no-sew attachment had the little bell. That is where I got those little bells, and that's what just made me think about it. They are little bitty cowbells, and it would look really cute on this cow. But I got them at Hobby Lobby. You probably can order on Amazon or something. I'm just telling you where I found them, and super cute. A little bell hanging down would be adorable, especially if you could maybe put a little heart rhinestones on the bell or something like that to make it more Valentine's Day. Okay, so let's go ahead and do our upper head up here. Now, you could put this on before you do the ear and the horn. I didn't really think about that, but I'm just going to, well, now that I'm doing it, I really should have. It would have been so much easier for me to show you. In my world, I do things so sporadically here that I don't really care. But to teach you, I really should have put these black spots on before I put the horn and the ear on. But I'm just going to fold over the black just on the edge here. Here, wait, let me see. See, this is when the teacher really should pay more attention, right? Pay more attention to those details. So to put these spots on after the ear and the horn are on, I'm actually going to glue. I'm going to do the one where we glued the top on first, and then I can just trim it. That'd be way easier. So we're going to put it on right there. I put some glue just on this side, not on this side. And we're going to kind of just put it on there where just like that. And then, thankfully, the ear and the horn are pretty soft. So I can just fold it, trim it off, fold it back, and glue it to the side. And you just want to hold it there for a second, let it stay. If this is too complicated for you, you can take off this horn and this ear. The hot glue, I mean, as long as you're just really careful with it, it should not be a problem at all. Just do it slowly. And just fold, make sure all the black is folded over the back. And you can see. I'm going to place, this horn wasn't glued all the way to the tip, so I'm going to go ahead and throw some glue in there. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the ear. I'm going to tuck the black part back there. There. So see, I mean, it didn't ruin it by me doing it out of order, but it would have been easier when you put if you put the black parts on here, put them on here before the ear and the horn, just FYI. But it's not unmanageable. It's just, it would have just been way easier for me to show you had I paid attention to that. But you know, sometimes I get a little carried away. Okay, so again, I just put some glue and I'm going to hold it down here. And then I am going to just add a little bit of glue right where the ear and the horn meet that black fabric. Right there. And then I like to use my scissors to just tuck that black fabric in there into that glue that I just laid. And then I pull my ear and my horn forward. So see, it still comes out the same. It would have just been way easier for me to teach you had I done it the other way. But hopefully you got that. Wasn't too complicated. Okay, so now we have these resin eyes. Now we do sell these resin eyes. I've had several people ask me why I no longer include them with the patterns, and the answer is very simple. We found people, actually 2 separate sellers, selling them on Etsy. So because we provide the pattern to anybody in the creative coaching group, they were selling them. It rubbed me the wrong way. I really felt like that was disrespectful, so we just stopped including them. And you can see I'm just twisting my eyes around as we're talking here. I want them. I don't want her looking off in La La Land. And that she's looking too far to the right. I like there. So if ever you're not sure how to put your eyes on, just twist them around. Just kind of, there is no right or wrong. Sometimes you want them looking up in La La Land. Sometimes you want them looking to the left or to the right. So don't just twist them and, step back and kind of look at them all the way as you're twisting them around. Now, you want to kind of keep these so that they're somewhat in the eyeglasses. So don't put them too high. Don't put them really close together. And think about how wide your eyeglasses are. And you want to at least be able to see the eyes when the eyeglasses are on. Like that. So now when we put the eyeglasses on, it's pretty close. They could be a little bit wider apart. Little bit. So that right there, we're going to go with it. It works. Now with the eyeglasses, let's do this first so we can get the base. No, never mind. This is good. If I put this on first, it's going to cause it to be teeter-tottery. I want to put the glasses on first because you have to hold them, and you have to hold them until they dry. And it's easier to hold it when you're working with a flat surface than it is to have it all teeter-tottery. So on these, all I glue is the bottom. I don't put any glue on the top of the glasses. We're gonna glue them right to the top of the nose up here. And then we just hold it right there. You don't really need to glue the top because we put the poster board in there, they're gonna stand up. And you can see these are not glued up here, but they're standing up right where they need to be. So they're not flopping around. Just make sure you get them centered. I can kind of tell by what's overhanging. I feel like they need to go that way just a bit. So I'll just hold it right on there. And they're not going anywhere. Just like that. They're cute little ears. Now we can attach this little bottom piece. And see what I mean about it kind of does lean back just a little bit. Obviously, we're putting this piece down here. It's going to cause it to be unstable. If you wanted to put foam board behind your horns, that would make it flat. But really, it doesn't need to be flat to go inside of a wreath. So I don't really, unless I'm working with it and it's in the way, I don't really care if it's kind of bumpy or flat when you're putting it in a wreath, right? So I'm just adding glue to the very, very bottom of this. And then I'm, again, just gonna eyeball it. Make sure it's straight. My little piece down here is straight. My face looks straight. Make sure my nose is straight. Everything looks pretty good. So then I will try to clamp. I don't know if these clamps will go this thick, but we'll try. It's got like 3 layers here. There we go. Kind of. It's going to hold it for me just sort of like that. Okay. All right. So now it's just the fun part. Now you can just put white fur up here if you want to just put, say you have a little leftover white fur from your Santas or something, just a little piece, you can just put some white fur up here and she'd be absolutely adorable just like that. I like to put a little gemstone on the glasses. These are just little red heart gemstones. You can pick them up just about anywhere, I'm sure. Or you could just use little beads, whatever, however you want to decorate your glasses is fine. But you know how glasses always have some little thing up here in the corner. So let's get those off of there. Now I'm looking, she's just a little bit crooked, but that's okay. Her head is tilted just a little. See how it's just tilted just the slightest bit? But I don't hate that. I mean, I kind of like it. It kind of makes her look like she's staring off over this way. So don't stress if it's just a tiny bit crooked. Normally I stand over these when I make them and I have a bird's eye view of what I'm doing. Sitting here like this, I was off by maybe 1/4 of an inch or so. Okay, so I'm going to make one of these ribbon bows. I don't expect you guys to be able to follow along to this like to the T. I personally love these little bows like this. They're tiny. You can do this probably with your, you can do something similar with your Easy Bow Maker or the little bitty bow dabra for the hair bows. This is the 7/8 ribbon, wired ribbon from Deco. It is a great, great ribbon to do things with, but I'm sorry for the Band-Aid on my hand. We had a little incident earlier with scissors, but there are YouTube videos on how to do this that show it much more clearly. I'm just going to show you very quickly how I do it. You take your ribbon, and this would be your tail, though I'm not using a tail, and I hold it. I weave it through my fingers like that. I'm only doing these 2 fingers up here. If I could curl these down and keep them out of there, I would, but my hand doesn't work that way. You go back up, weave it around again, then you come up, you go, oops, through there. I know, see, I'm terrible at this kind of thing. y'all just make ribbons the way you make, or make bows the way you make bows. And it doesn't have to be bows if you don't want it to. Okay, so the only thing I dislike about the 7/8 ribbon is that it doesn't move very easily. Like, it's because it's canvas, it's not slippery. Normally you would do this kind of bow with satin, like a gross grain, and it's very slippery. It's very easy to slide on itself. This is canvas and it wants to stick on itself. So I pull that through and then take it down. I know it's not wanting, it is not wanting to play with me today. That is not, okay. Lord, I made hundreds of these, and it's always the hardest when you're trying to show somebody. Okay, push it through there. Make sure you still have your tail down there. And you come up here and you go down and you go back through the same one. And then you just pull it, tug it. Guys, I know this is not a tutorial on how to make a bow, okay? This is just how I make a bow. You guys can make little bows however you like. If you choose to use a bow, you don't even have to. And now this one's too tight. Can't get it off my fingers. Okay, so now I would go and for this one, I'm cutting off the tail. And see how it makes this cute little double bow? Like what you would put in your little girl's hair. That's essentially what this is, a little hair bow. I'm gonna throw some glue back here so things don't come unraveling. I do like working with this wired ribbon. Normally if this was a satin gross grain, it wouldn't have any wire at all. And it wouldn't really hold its shape as well. This does hold its shape really well. So all I did was glue those little tails down back there. But you can see, kind of pull them just a little, make them, but it just makes a cute little bow. All right. I'm sorry if y'all are wondering how on earth I did that. YouTube finger bows is my best recommendation. There are some really good, like way up close videos on how to do that. We'll do another one here in a second, but it just takes tons and tons of practice. So I glued a little gemstone on it. And now, and you can add more to this. If you have like a little picot ribbon or just little anything, I don't know, little beads or something you want to add to these bows, then you can absolutely make them like drape down, super cute. I didn't really have any other way to make this a Valentine cow. I didn't want the cow to be holding a heart. I thought that was kind of silly. So I just decided bows. Bows were going to be it. Okay, so we'll do this again. We're going to hold this. This is our first tail. We're just going to hold it. We're going to go over the index finger, under, figure 8, back around the middle finger, up over the index finger again, all the way to the bottom. Now this is the only time you don't weave it. You go straight to the bottom under the middle finger, and then you push it through the little hole, and then you come straight up with it, and you go straight down, and you go back under that one that you just created by going through the hole. I know. And then you kind of tug on it. Tug on it and make it tighten like that. Pull it off of your fingers. And then and if you wanted to leave the little tails on, it's super cute with the tails. If you've never made hair bows for a little girl, this is, you know, basic hair bow. And then I cut off the tails. I put some glue back here so that the tails, you know, don't slip back through accidentally. But then you have this cute little bow. You just play with it until it's even. And then grab a gemstone, throw some hot glue on it, or whatever. If you have little hearts for Valentine's Day, you can add little hearts to the bow, whatever you want to do. The decoration part, I always feel like is totally up to you guys. Like, you absolutely do not need to make these bows, or any kind of bow if you don't want to. You can just do little tufts of hair. Maybe, I mean, I just really don't know. Think about how you want your cow to look. But I wanted her to be a little sassy and have a little bows up there. There we go. She is done, other than letting that dry. That is all there is to it. So you can see now, this is how the face looks without the neck on it. You don't need the neck part. If you wanted to add a little ribbon with the little cowbell, it would be super cute right here. It's just your choice. It's your choice. It's part of the pattern, but I initially liked this one without the neck, but then when I added the neck, I thought, oh, that would be cute. And then I wish I had thought to do the bell, but you know, all these things always happen. My attachments are always evolving. Very rarely do they ever stay exactly the same year after year after year. I am always changing them. So you do them how you like. And like I said, it's a little tiny bit crooked. You can probably see it's not perfectly straight, the head on here, but I like it. I kind of like the way it's looking. And those little resin eyes, throwing some eyelashes on those would be super cute as well. See, all these things I think about after I'm done with it. But I just want to give you guys ideas so that when you make her, you can kind of add whatever you like to her. And she's super cute. Her little horns up there, all glittery. And her cute little ears. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoy her and will make her. And I cannot wait to see what you do with her. Bye-bye.